I remember the exact moment the world shifted. Not with an earthquake, not with some grand explosion, but with the quiet slap of an envelope against the hardwood floor. It was late afternoon when I found it. I was sorting through the usual clutter of bills, electric, water, junk mail promising me pre-approved credit cards, when one envelope caught my attention. It was heavier, thicker, the kind of official-looking paper that never carries good news. My name was printed neatly across the front, and in smaller letters beneath it, so was my husband's. At first, I didn't think much of it. We'd been married long enough that our names often appeared together on things. Bank statements, insurance paperwork, the endless little threads that stitched our lives into one fabric. But when I tore the seal open and scanned the first line, my stomach lurched so violently it felt like I'd swallowed ice. Your mortgage payment is past due. Mortgage. The words stared up at me, cruel and smug like a secret I wasn't supposed to discover. My fingers went cold as I flipped through the pages, my eyes tripping over numbers that didn't make sense. An address I didn't recognize, and finally, a line at the bottom that stopped my breath altogether. My signature. Only, it wasn't. It looked like mine, the loops and curves familiar, the kind of forgery that might pass if you didn't know me. But I knew the way my hand trembled when I signed my name, the tiny slant in the A that came from years of rushing. This was smooth, confident, a performance. And just like that, I understood. My husband, my partner, the man who'd sworn to protect me, love me, honor me, had forged my signature on a mortgage for a house I had never seen, never stepped inside, never even heard of. I sat on the edge of the couch, clutching the papers so tightly they crumpled in my fists. The world blurred around me, colors dimming, sounds muffled, until all I could hear was the frantic pounding of my own heart. Why? That was the first question. Why would he do this? Why would he tie me to debt that wasn't mine, to a house that wasn't ours? My mind scrambled for explanations, grasping at straws. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe. But no, there was no maybe about this. My name was on the line. My life, my credit, my future, all shackled to a house I didn't even live in. I don't remember how long I sat there, staring at the papers. Minutes, hours, it all bled together. Eventually, I forced myself to move, to grab my phone and scroll through my husband's recent messages. He'd been distant lately, distracted. Business trips that didn't quite add up. Late nights at the office that stretched into dawn. I had chalked it up to stress, to work, to the slow erosion of marriage that I told myself was normal. But now the cracks looked like fault lines. There were messages I hadn't noticed before, threads with numbers unsaved in his phone. Some were mundane, but one stood out. An address. The same address from the mortgage, a place on the other side of town, a place I had never been. My pulse quickened as I copied it down. I told myself I wouldn't go, that I'd wait, that I'd confront him first. But the thought of sitting there, marinating in betrayal without answers, was unbearable. So I drove. The sun was setting by the time I pulled onto the quiet street, the sky painted in streaks of orange and purple. The house was easy to spot. Newly painted, a neat little yard, curtains pulled shut like secrets hiding in the dark. And then I saw him, standing on the porch, keys in hand, his face tilted toward someone just inside the doorway. He was smiling, that easy, careless smile I hadn't seen in months. A woman's laugh floated out, sharp and bright, and then she appeared, tall, pretty, the kind of polish that doesn't happen by accident. She leaned into him. His hand brushed her arm, casual, familiar, intimate. And in that moment, the mortgage made sense. The lies, the absences, the distance, it all crystallized into one brutal truth. The house wasn't ours. It was theirs. I didn't remember getting back into my car. Didn't remember the drive home. My hands moved. My body obeyed. But my mind was a storm, a deafening roar of betrayal and rage. When I finally stumbled through my front door, the house felt alien. The walls pressed in, the silence suffocating. I dropped the papers onto the kitchen table and stared at them, my breath coming in shallow bursts. I should have screamed. I should have called him, demanded answers, hurled every accusation burning inside me. But I didn't. Instead, I sat down, picked up a pen, and began to write. Not a letter, not a note. No, this was a record. A log. Evidence. If he wanted war, I would give him war. But not tonight. Tonight, I would sit in silence. Tonight, I would let the betrayal sink into my bones. Let the poison spread. Because revenge, real revenge, isn't about rage. It's about patience. And I had patience in spades. I didn't sleep that night. Not 1 second. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the mortgage papers spread out beside me like damning evidence. My husband's side of the bed was empty. He had texted earlier claiming late work again. I almost laughed. Work. That's what he called it. That's what she must have been. By dawn, my eyes burned, but my body felt carved from ice. I didn't pace, didn't cry, didn't tear the sheets apart. Instead, I waited. Waiting is power, and I wanted him to feel powerless the moment he stepped through the door. When he finally came home, the sun was already climbing. His tie was loose, his hair slightly mussed, like he'd tried to fix it in the car but hadn't done a convincing job. I sat at the kitchen table, the mortgage papers neatly stacked in front of me. A single cup of coffee cooled at my elbow, untouched. "Hey," he said, too casually, dropping his keys into the bowl by the door. His voice was bright, practiced, the voice of a man who thought he was still in control. I didn't answer. He hesitated, just a flicker, before slipping into character again. "Long night. Sorry I didn't text more. We had this project." "Sit." The word cut through the air like glass breaking. He froze, keys still in hand. His eyes darted to the papers on the table, then back to me. I saw it then, the first crack in his mask. Slowly he moved to the chair opposite me. "What's this?" he asked, voice careful, cautious. "You tell me," I said, sliding the papers toward him. He picked them up, glanced at the top page, and for a split second, just a split second, his composure faltered. His eyes flicked down, widened, then snapped back up to me. "Where did you get this?" The audacity of it almost made me laugh. "They mailed it, to me, because apparently I'm responsible for paying off a house I've never seen." His mouth opened, closed. He tried on a dozen expressions. Confusion, annoyance, concern, before settling on wounded innocence. "Babe, listen. It's not what it looks like." "Not what it looks like?" My voice was flat, deadly calm. "It looks like you forged my signature on a mortgage. It looks like you're living some double life, buying houses I don't live in, with women I don't know. So tell me, what does it look like to you?" He leaned forward, palms raised like he was trying to calm a wild animal. Okay. I know it looks bad, but listen, this is an investment. A smart one. I didn't want to worry you with the details until it was stable. That's why your name's on it. Just temporarily. Just on paper. Temporarily, I repeated, the word tasting like poison. "Yes," he rushed. "I'm handling the payments. You don't have to lift a finger. This is for us, for our future. You'll thank me later when the value doubles. I promise I was going to tell you." He was good. I'll give him that. His voice was smooth, steady, almost convincing. If I hadn't seen him on that porch with her hand in his, I might have believed it. But I had seen. And once you see, you can't unsee. "So the house isn't yours and hers," I said, watching his face closely. For a heartbeat, he froze. Barely noticeable, but I noticed. Then he laughed, forced, brittle. What? What are you talking about?" "Whose? No, of course not." "Jesus, is that what you think? That I'm, having some affair?" I didn't answer. I just stared. Silence is a weapon, and silence, I knew, was carving into him like a blade. He shifted in his chair, cleared his throat, tried again. "Babe, come on, this is us. We've been through so much. Why would I risk everything? Why would I ever do that to you? Because you already did." The words burned on my tongue, but I swallowed them down. Instead, I asked quietly, "Whose name is on the deed besides mine?" That hit him harder than any accusation. He stammered, shuffled the papers, trying to look at the fine print like he didn't already know. It's complicated. Just some legal stuff doesn't mean anything. It's her, isn't it? The question landed like a bomb. His head jerked up, eyes wide, and in that flicker of panic, the truth spilled. He didn't have to say it. I saw it, and then, just as quickly, he tried to cover. No, God, no, it's not like that. She's a business partner, that's all. She had better credit, so it was easier. I laughed then, sharp and bitter. Better credit, right. That's why you've been lying, sneaking out, vanishing for nights at a time. He bristled, defensive now, anger rising to cover fear. You're blowing this out of proportion. You don't understand how these things work. You're letting your emotions cloud everything. There it was. The old trick, the subtle gaslighting. Turn me into the irrational one. Make me doubt myself. It had worked before, more times than I wanted to admit. But not now. I leaned forward, my voice low, steady, deadly. Don't mistake silence for weakness. I know what you've done, and I promise you, this will not end the way you think.